Hi, I'm Zach Zimneska. I'm a project manager on the solutions consulting team. Today, we're going to check out getting started with Zoho People. And today's session will be resolving for managing time in a hybrid environment. This has become very challenging due to the pandemic. We find ourselves working from office, working from home, some of us working in both areas, and being able to track time effectively while navigating remote and in office has become a challenge. So, a few things that we will be going over with managing time is just attendance, overall scheduling to work in or out on certain days. We will also be looking at timesheets. How do we clock in and out, whether it's for lunch, whether we're taking breaks, or what we're doing that, again, remote or in office, but also leave. So when do I need to accrue vacation time? How do I apply for vacation time? Are there approvals for vacation? And things like that. Timesheets allow us to keep track of time we spend working or time we do not spend working. And one of the easiest features to enable is automated time logs. So, time logs allow either the manager or whoever handles payroll to be able to reimburse an employee for time worked. And the automated time log function allows me as a user to log in and just get going. If it's working on a project, if it's simply having the application open, the timer can begin. The approval process is a very useful feature in that it allows us to be able to verify if that time was spent actually working. It allows us to approve it to be billed to a client if it is working on a project, or if it needs to be approved to, again, accrue into vacation time. The third thing about timesheets is viewing time. So being able to see an individual, either how often they were in the office, how often they were out of the office, but still working throughout the month or week is definitely applicable here. And we're able to do that with the report. Attendance is the second thing we will be covering. The first point will be manual tracking. What we mean by this is having to write things down on paper and input them later into the application, whether that be for, again, accruing vacation, whether that be for payroll or any other type of analysis or report that we would like to run on our attendance. The second thing is communicating a clear, robust policy for attendance, whether that be forcing people to take time off during holidays, whether that's company holiday or federal holiday, whether we require them to be in office or at home working. We can set up parameters to require them to be clocked in or out. The third is to clearly define absenteeism or tardiness, which can define, are they allowed to be late by X amount of minutes or hours before we will not have them working today? Do we even allow them to clock in after a certain period of time? If we do, how do we set up alerts? How do we set up email notifications for managers to be aware of what's going on when somebody doesn't show up? The third thing we'll be talking about is leave accumulation, the different types of leave and approval policies. And what we mean by that is, do we have a certain amount of time given to an individual based on the tenure of the person working? For example, if they work for 1 year, we will give them 7 days off. If they work for 2 years with the organization, we'll give them 14 days off. Or are we doing it through accrual where I work 8 hours, therefore I gain 1 hour of off time, and after I accrue 8 hours of off time, that's equivalent to 1 day. There are different types of that. We'll check it out. We also have the leave approval policies. So after I do accumulate leave time, whether it's sick, vacation, holiday pay, how do we allow people to request that time off? And how do we go through the settings to either have it approved by a manager, by HR, by a project manager, whoever's relevant within the process of approving leave time. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the timesheets portion of Zoho People, how the automated time logs, the approval processes, and viewing time functions and how to use those, how easy are they to set up, in Zoho People. So let's go ahead and check that out. So in Zoho People, whenever we need to log time, you'll notice in the upper right corner, we have the log time function. We could go ahead and click that. Now, if we're logging time for a project, we can select that project that we're working on. We also have the job name and the date. So I could have a total number of hours. I can set that here. If I know when I started and ended, I can do that here. Or if we're using a timer, we can go ahead and start that as well. We also have the ability to upload attachments. So let's go ahead and save this. I want to put in 5. So I'm going to click save here. Now that went ahead and put in time. Now on the left side of the screen, we do have the timesheets module. I want to go ahead and click into that. It's going to bring me to my list view. You can see the time that I logged today for 5 hours does exist. If you look down below, it looks like a coworker has clocked in and the timer that has been started and not stopped. So again, just reminder, people forget about it. If you start that timer, don't forget to stop, or else you're going to find yourself editing it from this list and putting in your actual time. And an easy way to view your other team members is in the upper left part of the screen. You can click the drop down and it'll allow you to see other folks. So if you're a manager or a supervisor, you can see other information here. I have administrator access, so I'm going to see everybody here. If you don't necessarily want to see a list view, you can also see a calendar view. And this allows you to click on the button here on the left side of the screen, calendar view. So once you select that, it'll go ahead and show the information and the time that we've logged, the time that's been submitted, not submitted, whether it's been approved or not. If we go back in time, we can also see other times that we've worked and other projects. It's just very easy to view, again, current and previous time that we've logged in the timesheet module. So the timesheets, you'll notice on the left, do get linked to projects. Let's talk about that for a moment. You can see we do have a lot of tasks available, a lot of start dates, estimated hours, and different users attached. So this allows me to dial in the timesheet to a specific project and log time against tasks if we're using the timesheet portion of Zoho People to keep track of information related to a project. Now, a couple of settings that we did mention within timesheets. First is going to be the approval. Within the approval section, there's a lot of time that needs to be approved or rejected. On the right side, we have the approved or reject button. The little green thumbs arrow gives you an idea of what's been approved already, and the little hourglass is letting you know that it's waiting to be approved. So I want to go ahead and hit approve. It's going to show you the time for the project. It also shows you from the attendance module when they were on vacation, so you kind of get a nice little debrief of the time. So let's go ahead and click approve. And if you want to add a comment, you're able to put that here. If there's any issue and it needs to be rejected, you can let them know. But here everything looks great, so I'm going to go ahead and type that and let Maza know that everything looks great and hit confirm. That allows us to go ahead and approve that. And on the right side of the screen, if you remember the hourglass, it is now a thumbs up. So now we get a thumbs up on that time. Now on the left, we're going to go ahead and click settings. And we can talk about a few things here very quickly about the process. So you can log time using those options. If you don't want to allow people to start a timer, you want them to always put in the total hours they worked, you can just keep that checked and uncheck the others. You also have the timer edit permission going to self, reporting manager, admin. So that allows you to keep track of who's actually editing the time after it's been created in Zoho People. So that allows a little bit of a small catch before the approval. You can also restrict time, very similar to attendance, and that the weekend or holidays doesn't allow people to log time or put in time on a project. You also can select future dates if you want to prevent that as well.
let's go ahead and scroll down and you will see what needs to be logged during that. Let's go ahead and scroll down and you will see the time log fields that are required, whether it's available or mandatory for folks to fill out. Again, I'm not going to go through every single one of them because I don't think anybody's going to use every single one of these all the time, but there's a lot of settings in the timesheet portion where you can select, unselect, be able to run exclusion rules on a lot of stuff. So feel free to check this out within Zoho People. Now we're going to go ahead and click approval. So on the left side of my screen, I want to go ahead and select approval. And we're going to go ahead and we're not going to make a new one. We're going to go ahead and edit one that's already been created to take a look at these settings. You'll notice a lot of the settings here are very similar to other products in the Zoho suite. This allows us to set up the levels for approval. This allows you to select if it's a department head, whether it's a role, whether it's a project manager, whether it's, the manager of the individual. So you can set up, allowance of multiple people to approve of the time. If you have certain criteria set up for approval, you can go ahead and select that. So if there's billable hours are greater than 8 hours in a day, we can go ahead and set up that criteria. So you can technically allow them to log more than a workday's worth of hours, but then again, if it is greater than that, we're going to take a look at it and approve it. Otherwise, it's automatically approved. So that allows you to catch like any overages in a project very easily, or if somebody is, again, left the timer running by accident. If you scroll down, you'll notice it's a very basic email template that gets sent to the approver. So it'll go ahead and link directly to the record, very easy to use, where you can just take right from the email into the approval or rejection decision point. So another thing we can do is allow different folks to be added to the email list. So if you want to CC them, if you want to send it directly to them and let folks know what's going on. That's a really nice thing to do, and you can go ahead and put in different information within the template. So if there's other fields you want to map from that timesheet into the email, you can. That'll give somebody a nice heads up about the time logged in the project and all that stuff. Now, there's a few options on the left we can use for timesheets. So let's go ahead and talk about the geo restriction first, and then we'll talk about the IP restriction. Again, if we're in a hybrid model, you can go ahead and set up an address that restricts people from checking in and checking out. So you'll notice here at the top, we can apply it to locations, departments, designations, and roles. So again, if you have certain teams or regions and different offices, and they're working from home or in the office, you can set up these that are specific to those folks without impacting the entire organization. So it's really nice to be able to do that. Very easy to set that up as well. And again, there's a few more settings, but we're not going to go into every single thing. So I want to flip back to the left here and conclude the timesheets portion of the presentation. Again, we looked at automated time logs. We looked at the approval processes and different ways we can view our timesheet.
Now we'll take a look at the attendance and how we avoid manual tracking on attendance. Again, communicating a clear, robust policy and defining absenteeism or tardiness. So let's go ahead and take a look at these functions. So we're back on the home page of Zoho People, the dashboard. You'll notice we have the attendance in the upper left corner, and similar to time logs, we can check in or out. So I want to go ahead and check in. This allows me to add notes. So if you're late or early, you can place that here. And it'll boil into our policies later, and if you require notes or explanations if those scenarios happen. So I want to go ahead and check out. We have a minute log today. So on the left side of the screen, we do have our attendance module, similar to the timesheets module, which we'll check out later. And you can see we're looking at the list view. On the upper right corner, we can also check in here with the same functionality. So if you want to land on the home page or you want to land here, you've got options. Now in this view, we also see our paid leave, holiday leave, absent leave, present days, payable days, all that's available. Now if you want to have different views
On the left, you can see we have the calendar view where I have a lot of different absence throughout the month. You can also see where you're at the current day. Now, if you have overtime and you accumulated overtime, you can see that here in the list. So again, it's a little bit out of boundary here, but it does allow us to see that information. After we log time, we do the approval section. It's very easy to use. You'll notice on the right side, we can just go ahead and click here for approval. It gives you a lot of information though when they clocked in, clocked out, the attendance, the reason. So like I mentioned earlier, if I forgot to check in or I checked in late, you're able to put those reasons in there. Now, what's great is after you approve it, you can see here we can put a comment here. So if you have notes to leave to the employee or to the next person in line, you can do that. And then in the view in the upper right corner, which I'll go ahead and click, you can see here that we can view the history of the approval. That way you know who approved it. You do have a nice little audit log, whether you're approving on behalf of someone like the admin, that'll all be here. So I'm going to go back here, go back a couple windows. On the left, we also have shift scheduling. So you can set up different shifts for different people. If we're working in a hybrid environment, different time zones, if your organization is spread across, a region or internationally, that is really easy to do. We also have a shift calendar, and this allows you to see by person and employee what their shift should be and what they've done within the application. Now, when we talk about the settings, this is where we're going to get into a lot of detail. So we can see a lot of detail here on how we want it to calculate. If we have strict mode versus lenient mode, that plays into your shift hours when we have those set up. You'll notice we also have showing overtime and deviation underneath that. There's quite a few settings here, like I mentioned. We won't go through every one of them, but the one that I want to focus on is first checking in and checking out, whether we have the outside boundaries on early and lateness of those options. We also have maximum hours per day, and this can prevent someone from clocking in longer than the permitted time to prevent overtime. So there's a lot of restrictions there, right? As we go down, we can go ahead and disable or enable weekends, holidays, including leave. Do we allow that to occur? It's very easy to see that. Now, we also have another one that is related to what device we're using, right? So we can allow people to check in or check out from their mobile device, from their laptop, from their phone, or you can disable that and make them do it on the web only. You also can share locations or require locations. So if you have geo restrictions set up, you can say or allow people to only check in and out from specific locations. Again, a lot of settings. I want to scroll down and up really quick here. Now, over time, this allows you to really set up a very guided method to keep track of attendance. I want to go ahead and mention the present by default mode. This allows you to make sure people are checked in between certain periods. So again, if we don't necessarily want them to do it every day, but it's more of an exception that somebody is not at work or doing work things, we can go ahead and turn this on and simply require them to put leave or put absentees or absent marks instead of the clock in and clock out or check in and check out method. Another couple things we can do with the attendance is the absent schedule, which that allows you to do the opposite, right? So push absent to a leave module. So when I have any leave, it can automatically go to an absent. So the last thing we'll take a look at after present by default is the absent schedule. This allows us to make rules to dictate where the absentee time comes from, whether it's a leave record that needs to be created or it's time off, sick leave, whatever it may be. We can process it, the absence, the same day. We can also choose other options like 1 day delay, 2 day delay if there's an approval process or someone needs to alert their manager. You're able to go ahead and set up criteria. So if whether it's a location, a role that is able to be selected. So I've got USA selected here since I want to go ahead and do by region. And again, this allows you to process things whether you take an absent into leave. So it could be a complicated web you want to weave on how you treat someone not showing up to the workday and where you want that information to be pulled from. Again, whether it is the leave and what bucket it's going to be pulled from. And that concludes the attendance portion. We did look at default check-in for the avoid manual tracking. We looked at robust policies. We had taken a look at, do we set up restrictions? Do we set up time before or after our shift? Do we set up geo restrictions? And then we also took a look at absentee and tardiness and how we set that up and how do we dictate what's an absent? Does it go straight to leave? Is it a tardy? Is it included, in our day? So the next thing we're going to go ahead and take a look at is leave. We have 3 different topics here, which is leave accumulation, the different types of leave, and the leave approval policies. So here we're at the homepage of Zoho People again. Again, just like attendance and timesheets, on the left, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the leave module. So I'm going to click on that. Now within the leave module, this does look like a lot, but you can see the list of different types of leave that I have set up and what I've accumulated. On the upper left corner, if you're a manager, you can also select the different users that you need to check on. So I want to go ahead and select myself for the purpose of this. We also have the calendar view on the left, which I'm going to go ahead and click. And you'll see here I've got annual vacation already approved. Now we have leave applications on the left, and you can see people that have requested leave and what it might be, whether it's an absent, whether it's a vacation, sick leave, kind of like we mentioned earlier. You can also see on the left when it's been approved, it gives you the green thumbs up and how many days it's been approved for. You also have holidays in Zoho People. So if you'd like to add a specific holiday, you're able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and add a holiday. And you can pick a date for that holiday. And you can decide who it's applicable for. So again, if you have folks that are in different regions, you can go ahead and assume, all right, the US here has a holiday on this day. Now, you can also set up reminders so people don't accidentally come in for work. They can receive notifications and reminders that holiday is coming up. So another thing we do have is the settings, right? And on the settings, there's a lot of different stuff here. So we'll talk about it briefly. We talked about the different types of leave. So let's go ahead and take a look at the annual vacation type of leave within this list. Now, we have the annual vacation. You'll notice the type is paid. You can see one of the ways to accrue there at the bottom is that after 1 year of experience, we allow 14 days of leave. So it's very easy to set up those rules. You can also set up the accrual method. There's a couple of different settings, whether it's annual, biweekly, monthly, quarterly. So it's up to you on how you want to leverage that. You also notice the type. We have paid, unrestricted holidays, and things like that. Now, there's some advanced settings that get into a lot of details. You can allow people to exclude, include weekends and holidays for leave. You can go ahead and say that if a leave period exceeds a certain amount of days that include holidays to be allowed or not allowed. And there's a lot of nuance here within these settings. I do not want to go through all of these because I know everyone won't use all of them. But it does allow a lot of functionality here, so I encourage folks to go ahead and hop in and check it out. Now, a common one that people do are the leave entitlement details and balance. So you can say calculate leave on the date of request versus the time that they've earned in the past. We also have the rollover and carry forward settings. That's another really common thing that people use is allow them to roll it over to the next year if they don't use it. Another thing we have built in is having the initial balance of the leave types, which you can see here, what type of leave that person has and what they get right off the get-go, just being an employee in the organization. And you can set up different policies that allow certain different types of leave. Similar to everything else we've looked at, it could be region based, it could be designation based or role based as well. So you get a very easy method of viewing the time. You also have different settings for the calendar. Again, so this kind of gets into the weeds on how nuanced it is. And that'll conclude the leave portion of the presentation.